Daniel Walker lived in a small town in rural Iowa, surrounded by endless acres of golden wheat. In his mid-50s, with calloused hands from decades of labor and a face weathered by countless harvests, Daniel looked like any ordinary farmer. He wore overalls stained from daily chores and a sun-beaten cap that had seen better days. But beneath that humble exterior lay a mind as sharp as a scythe and a heart brimming with ambition. Unlike most folks in his community, who were content tending fields and livestock, Daniel dreamed of something far bigger, owning a private jet. Not for showy luxury, but to transform how farmers transported produce, shortening transit times, cutting spoilage, and linking rural areas to distant markets. Many neighbors scoffed at his idea, calling it far-fetched. Yet Daniel paid no mind. He believed every great success began as a dream, no matter how unlikely it seemed. Daniel's upbringing had been shaped by the land. He woke before dawn each morning, checked on his animals, then drove his rickety pickup truck to inspect row upon row of wheat. But when the day's labor ended, he didn't settle into an easy chair. Instead, he pored over magazines about aviation and logistics, studying flight routes and supply chains. In the evenings, he jotted down ideas on how a single plane could serve multiple farms. We could share costs, he often mused. Imagine our fresh corn and beans reaching the city markets the same day they're harvested. For years, Daniel quietly saved every spare dollar. He sold honey from his beehives at the local farmers market, built rustic furniture in a makeshift workshop behind the barn, and even leased a portion of his acreage for wind turbines. While most of the town only saw him as a friendly farmer, he was slowly amassing the funds to make his vision real. By the time he was in his early 50s, Daniel had saved more money than anyone would have guessed. He knew it still might not be enough for a brand new jet, but perhaps there was a smaller, pre-owned model that could serve his purpose. One crisp morning, he decided the time had come. Gathering his hard-earned savings, he boarded a bus for the 50-mile ride to the nearest major airport. The private hangar section, an area Daniel had only glimpsed in magazines, stretched before him like a dream made real. Gleaming jets lined the tarmac, reflecting the midday sun. Sales reps in tailored suits chatted with affluent clients who arrived in flashy cars. Daniel felt a pang of unease. He was just a farmer in dusty boots and worn overalls, but he pressed on. A tall man in a crisp navy suit, Mark Lawson, was standing near one of the more luxurious jets. Known for his sharp tongue, Mark surveyed Daniel's appearance with a look of thinly veiled disdain. "May I help you?" Mark asked, voice laced with skepticism. "Yes, sir," Daniel replied politely. "I'm here to buy a jet. Could you tell me about this one?" Mark let out a short laugh. "A jet? For you? This isn't a tractor dealership." The word stung, but Daniel kept calm. "I've saved for years, and I'm serious about this purchase." Mark gave him a dismissive smirk. "Do you even know what these cost, or are you just here to take a few pictures?" Before Daniel could answer, a wealthy businessman pulled up in a luxury sedan. Mark immediately abandoned Daniel, hustling over to greet the potential high roller. Feeling humiliated but not defeated, Daniel wandered the hangar on his own, studying the planes and imagining how one could bring his plan to life. He refused to let a rude salesman derail his vision. As he strolled past rows of polished aircraft, he noticed an older gentleman in a simple jacket and jeans carefully examining a modest-sized jet. Despite his casual attire, the man carried an air of quiet authority. Introducing himself as John Anderson, a retired aviation entrepreneur, he asked what brought Daniel to the hangar. At first, Daniel hesitated, but seeing the genuine curiosity in John's eyes, he explained his dream, using a private jet to help farmers quickly transport fresh produce to distant markets. "It might sound crazy," Daniel admitted, "but I think it could change a lot of lives." John listened, nodding in approval. "Not crazy at all, ambitious, yes, but not crazy. Tell me more." They talked for nearly an hour. Daniel described the challenges of small farmers in remote areas, how produce often spoiled before reaching stores, and how a shared jet could cut waste and boost profits. Impressed by Daniel's down-to-earth approach and thorough research, John decided to help. He guided Daniel through the ins and outs of the aviation industry, then connected him with a more respectful sales team that specialized in smaller, pre-owned jets. After test flights and negotiations, Daniel found a plane that fit his budget, an older but reliable model he could retrofit to handle cargo for produce. As Daniel finalized the paperwork, the airport manager approached with surprising news: Mark Lawson had been fired. Intrigued, Daniel asked why. It turned out Mark had a history of insulting customers he deemed unfit for high-end purchases. The wealthy businessman Mark had rushed to assist left without buying, disgusted by Mark's dismissive attitude. The story spread quickly, and many marveled that a humble farmer had managed to achieve what naysayers deemed impossible. Local news outlets caught wind of Daniel's purchase, and soon enough, the same neighbors who had doubted him watched in awe as his new jet soared above the golden wheat fields. Daniel formed a cooperative among local farmers, allowing them to pool resources and share the cost of transporting produce. In a matter of weeks, their fresh vegetables, fruits, and grains reached city markets in record time. Profits climbed, and spoilage dropped. For Daniel, buying a jet was never just about the aircraft itself. It was about proving that even the boldest dreams are worth pursuing. Standing on the runway, watching his plane take off for its first real mission, delivering crates of sweet corn and tomatoes, he felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. His journey had proved that a simple farmer with a grand idea could indeed reshape the way things were done. The moral of his story: never judge a book by its cover. Beneath the most unassuming exterior can lie a vision powerful enough to change the world. And for Daniel Walker, that vision had just begun to unfold.